Today I'm sketching in Art Studio Pro. Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again. I thought I would try out the pencils in Art Studio Pro. I normally do all my sketching in paper by 53, but I thought it'd be nice to try something that was a bit more, got a bit more depth to it, a bit more technical. So I wanted to show you my drawing process for, say, if I was sketching a portrait. And unfortunately, I wanted to show you right from the very beginning, but I forgot to switch the recorder on. So the first maybe 1 minute is missing. But I wanted to show you that I don't grid anything up. I generally just sort of block in rough shapes to get the proportions of the head, the body and the hands, and just to make sure that I've got them all in the right place on the page or the paper so that everything is nicely balanced. And then I suppose I use that as my grid. Not that there's anything wrong with gridding up. I used to grid everything at one time. Well, when I say everything, I mean portraits really. I've never really gridded up landscapes or town scenes or anything like that. But if I was doing a portrait, I would always grid. And in some occasions, when I've been doing pets for people, I've been known to trace. Shameful, I know. There's nothing wrong with tracing either, actually. It's a good learning method. But if I'm not feeling somebody's pet and I've got to draw it, and I just want to get it done really, really quick, I have, in my mind, cheated and traced it. And but I started off sort of learning to do portraits by using the grid method, but I don't do that anymore. I sort of measure everything and put sort of lines in for the main shapes, and then begin sketching that, and then that becomes my grid, if you like, and then I start refining from there and adding detail. And sometimes I get into detail way too soon. I think on this one on the face, I kind of went in and started putting detail in, and I should have waited a little bit longer. I mean, as it happened, it all worked out quite nice. And I am using one pencil for all of this drawing. Well, for the drawing, I use one pencil. And then I put a wash on it, and I use I use the watercolor wash brush that I made that I gave away in the last Auto Studio video. Art Studio Pro video. And apart from it, I just used those two brushes. And the pencil one was, I tried using the 3B, but it hadn't got any tilt on it, which I found really, really surprising. But there was a pencil in there that said pencil tilt. So I used that one and it tilted fine. Why you couldn't use tilt on a regular 3B, I don't know, but seemed a bit weird. But I wanted the tilt, and then I never used it. I suppose, yeah, it does leave kind of slightly different mark where you pressure when you are tilting the pencil very slightly, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. It does put a little bit of a tilt on it, which gives it a very natural look. So I did like the pencil, and I just used a black colour. I didn't change the colours at all, except when I come to put the wash on right at the very end. So I call this drawing The Birthday Girl. The lady in the picture is in her 80s. It's my partner's mother, and I think she was surprised she got the cake. Her daughter just sort of brought it out into the garden in the hot summer we've had, and she got to blow the candles out, and we all sang happy birthday. And this, I recorded a video of singing happy birthday, which is never a good thing if I'm singing. And I discovered on my Samsung I could do a screenshot while the video was paused. I suppose you can do that on any phone, really. It's not rocket science, is it? So I did. I was watching this video and I thought I paused it. I thought, I'll make a nice sketch or painting. So I just captured the video to use for this drawing. And as you can see, I never do anything very rare. Do I do anything sort of realistic and ultra real? I just haven't got the patience. I'm at the minute I start a piece, I want to see it finished. I'm looking to finish that piece. So you can see there's lots of hatching on here, and but it's all done very quick and not patient or no shading or blending. I don't do any blending. But the important thing is that all of that hatching does follow the contour of the surface that I'm hatching. So if it's the face, you can see that the lines actually are following the contour of the skin and the face and the hair and the clothing now. So hopefully you can see that that's sort of the style I'm doing it in. It's not, people hatch a lot neater than this and draw a lot neater, but I just like to do these really, really sort of fast. I say fast, I mean it still took me a couple of hours sketches. I did discover though that when you stretch something like that and you have to sort of patch it up, it's not as easy to do in a pencil drawing as it is if you're using paint, because you can just paint over it. But in the pencil, you kind of have to rub it all out and re-sketch it in, otherwise you get this joint that you just can't get rid of. So I kind of finished the face, which surprised me because I thought I would have worked over more of the drawing and built it up gradual and sort of just keep working over it. I do keep going back into it and working it. I just sort of resized it there a little bit because I didn't want the cake to disappear off the page. All this was done, all the drawing was done on one layer. And I thought that I could put a watercolour paper texture on this. It would look quite good. But I did do all the sketching in one layer, and then I created another layer for the wash right at the end. So I really like the resizing or transform tool on this. It's very easy to use. I'm getting comfy with the app, and it doesn't feel strange to me anymore. I've sort of got settings. What's interesting there is all the way through this, I'm just looking at the video now, I've actually got the touch control switched on, but I didn't get any sort of marks on the paper like I did with the paint. So that was useful, but usually I keep that toggled off and just switch it on if I need it. But apparently this time I kept it switched on through the whole of the drawing. I didn't need to choose any colours or anything or set up palettes. I'd got that pencil set up, and it's a very different experience to Paper by 53. Because I was working on 300 dots per inch, 18 inch by 24 inch drawing paper. So I've got a lot more definition that I could work with and zoom in. I could rotate the canvas all the time. That felt really smooth. I don't know if it was just because I was working on one layer all the time, but you can see I'm rotating it and spinning it all the time. So a very different experience to sketching in Paper by 53. It was nice to sort of step it up a bit and make use of all the tools that are available in the more complex app. Not that you can't do any of that in Paper by 53. You can, except I've got the free version, which is very limited, or it has some sort of restrictions, like there's no layers and one or two other things that are missing. So I'm not knocking Paper 53. It's a great app, and I love the free app, and I love the fact that you have to sort of just draw, and you can't rely on the technology at all. I mean, on here, instead of having to redraw things, I was using the transform tool a lot. What you do notice though, I'm sort of sketching things in, and I did use the eraser a lot. I was erasing stuff out almost as much as I was drawing. And you can see I would sort of sketch in a shape and then cut away with it with the eraser and just tweak it and amend it slightly. So those initial sort of guidelines that I drew, here's a good example now. On the arm of this chair, I start sketching it in, and then I realised that it was too big. So I chopped that back with the eraser and sketch that back in again, and then do some hatching on it. So I was doing that all the time. You probably wouldn't notice just by looking at the drawing how much I did use the eraser, but I was in there with it a lot. So nice little bit of hatching there. And then I'm sort of going into the grass. And I do start sort of, the hatching gets even more loose at this stage because there's sort of a big boring area of grass. And I start hatching in sort of horizontal lines. I thought I want it to look a little bit more like grass. So I started sketching blades of grass, so just sort of randomly, and putting more pressure on in places to get the idea of those tufts of grass. And when I'd got pretty much all of that area covered, I then decided that I could use the eraser to put some lighter marks in again. Now, if I was doing pencil drawing, I'd probably get a white pencil to do that, or an ink pen with, white ink in to sort of put some highlights in. So that's not something that I would not do in traditional drawing. So I felt it was okay to do that here with the eraser. Although it's not strictly the same because I was erasing and not using a white pencil. Because here, I think I felt that it was all the hands were blending in with the grass, and I was losing the definition. If you look, the hands sort of almost disappearing there. So here you can see I'm starting using the eraser to knock that contrast back again so you can see the hands. And I use the eraser to sketch in more grass and then go back over with a pencil. Then I kind of put this little leafy thing in the foreground. I thought that looked quite cool just to fill in that space. I really enjoyed doing this because, I don't think I've ever done a pencil drawing this detailed on my channel before. It's always paintings, and it was nice for a change just to use a pencil and sketch something out rather than do a full-blown painting every time. So I'm sort of putting some more shade on that cake to give that a little bit of form. And I thought the background, I'm going to keep that really simple. I didn't want all the sort of bushes in the background. I thought that would just distract from the main focus of this drawing. So then I signed it and I sort of repositioned it a little bit. Finished off a few more details as I looked at it. And then I thought, you know what? This needs a wash on it just to sort of add a little bit of tone and allow me to pick out some highlights in places. So I just used the wash brush that I created. I'll put a link so you can get the download of those if you want them. And I just put this wash over it and lift it out with the eraser, put a little bit of darker wash under the bottom of the drawing. And that is pretty much it. That is my pencil sketch in Art Studio Pro. Really like this app. I think maybe I should do something in Procreate similar to see how that performs. Let me know what you think. Anyway, that is it. That is the end of my video. I hope you've enjoyed this sketch. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.